Out here under the vastness of space, planetary imagers are still all chasing one thing: clarity and good seeing. We think the bigger the telescope, the better the shot, but what if there's more to this story? In this video, I'm going to be challenging a long-lasting belief in astrophotography that you must have a big aperture telescope in order to get big, detailed images. Now, I know, there's lots of people out there that carry the Hubble around in their backyard with their big old 14-inch. I'm not that kind of guy. I have an 8-inch. I don't have the time for that. I have a small scope because I actually need to take it places. And I'm here to tell you that you don't need a huge aperture telescope to get the best images possible of the planet. And I've got the pictures to prove it. Alright, let's talk WindJup. You know how sometimes your images look like they were taken through a fish tank during a thunderstorm? Yeah, I know, I get that. But WindJup is that friend who always makes your messy situations look better than they really are. It takes your shaky, wobbly images and aligns them, stacks them, and smooths everything out until boom, crisp details. It's like handing a Rubik's Cube to a genius. Suddenly, just everything makes sense. I started using WindJup on Mars, and wow, the difference it made, like upgrading from a flip phone to a smartphone, is just insane. Suddenly, I was seeing surface details that I didn't think were really possible with my small setup because, 8 inches aren't really that big compared to like a 14-inch. It's like almost half the aperture. And thanks to WindJup, those details actually just really pop in these images, mostly because when you're stacking images in WindJup, you're derotating the planet, which is really helping the planet to kind of like you're getting the edges of the planet sharper, you're getting the whole planet sharper, and you're also stacking the best images you got of the stacks you got in like AutoStacker, for example. Now let's talk about lucky imaging. What exactly is lucky imaging? Well, it's when you take tons of frames, like thousands and thousands of frames, as many as you possibly can, and stack just the best ones that in the best seeing moments. Now, I know I've talked about this, but I'm serious. You need to take tons, like as many as possible. Like take hundreds of thousands. I know it sounds crazy, but you need to take as many as possible. And why? Because most of the time you're not going to have great seeing, and even if you do, you want to stack as many as you can. Kind of like the WindJup thing. You're stacking as many good frames as you get, but you want to make sure you have enough of them so it can look great. In the Mars image, by the way, when I stacked in WindJup, there was 12 of them, 12 images of Mars that were all really, really good. Here's the deal. In rough seeing conditions, you might have to shoot more than 50,000 frames. Yeah, you heard me right, 50,000. When the atmosphere is going haywire, you're basically fishing for those few moments where the air goes still and everything just clicks. It's like finding a Wi-Fi signal in the middle of nowhere. Rare, but when you get it, everything is crystal clear. It's also like buying 50,000 lottery tickets and only caring about the winning ones. Well, guess what? The more tickets you buy, the better your chances hitting the jackpot. You know that, right? And this isn't something you casually do for like a couple hundred frames. Like, oh, maybe I'll just do 500. No, you're gonna do a long haul of images. You need as many as possible. But here's where things get really interesting. Everybody tells you, well, go big or go home in astrophotography because the more aperture you have, the better the images, right? Well, yes and no, especially because bigger apertures collect more light, they would say that, but it doesn't mean you can't get stunning results with a smaller scope. I've been capturing some insane images of Jupiter and Mars with just an 8-inch telescope, and even some with a 5-inch telescope too. Look, if you got a small telescope, you're not going to be stuck with grainy potato quality images. You got a stealthy little tool in your hands, really. And with the right processing techniques, like WindJup and stacking thousands of frames, you'll really surprise yourself. It's like cooking an amazing meal in a tiny kitchen. Sure, it might take a little extra effort, but the end result? Amazing. So is aperture really king? Well, it really has its advantages, but it's not everything. With the right tools and techniques like WindJup, lucky imaging, and some frame stacking wizardry, I don't know, you can get some incredible planetary images even with the modest setup. So yeah, don't rely on just aperture for imaging because aperture ain't gonna get you much if you don't have good seeing or any of the other factors above. Anyways, my name is Asher and I run this channel here at Astrophotography Quest. I make primarily planetary imaging videos and deep sky videos. So if you like those kind of videos said too many times, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video. Anyways, until next time, clear skies.